Here's 5 movies that absolutely deserve a reboot slash remaking because an updated version of these movies could be absolutely generational. Starting off, I have Mimic. First and foremost, I think this is an absolute classic because Guillermo del Toro can do no wrong. The concept of humans playing God and then creating a roach that ends up mimicking human beings is so genius, so Guillermo del Toro. But I will say you can feel the age of this movie. It's also got that 90s camp and cheese, which I do love, but I feel like if we did a modern spin on this and made it a little darker, as well as keeping that like somewhat charm, could be insane. This movie with updated effects and a better script could be absolutely a 10 out of 10. Of course, I have to say Tron Legacy. I don't know how this movie hasn't gotten a sequel or just been rebooted because this franchise is golden. I recently rewatched this movie and it absolutely ages so well. The grid is so interesting, and this universe with the whole light cycles and the disc is just, it's so fun. And it's so aesthetically pleasing. Imagine modern effects with this movie. Oh my. I will say though, if you're gonna reboot this franchise and bring it back, I want Olivia Wilde back as Cora. I'm not playing games. I'm in love with her. Next, I'm gonna go Strangers. And I say this because the first half of this movie may be some of the scariest shit I've seen. This is some of the best home invasion horror I've ever seen, and I truly was shaking in my boots. But when we get to that second half, it kind of goes off the rails. But this was one of those movies where I was kind of glad it did because I was actually genuinely horrified that first part. I definitely think this movie is due for a modern remake and just make that shit gory as hell too. Wes Craven's The People Under the Stairs I recently just watched today, and this movie blew my mind. We all know Wes Craven's a genius, but the story of this movie alone, the layers, it's just so good. It's commentary on the corrupt system holding people back, and just the fact that it's a reverse home invasion film where the characters break into the evil people's house. It's just so genius. It's the foundation and blueprint for things like Barbarian and Don't Breathe. And I think wholeheartedly, if it hasn't been done already, it needs a modern remake. It is truly one of the most gross, dark, and interesting stories I've ever seen. And the main villains of this movie, fucking hate them. Truly a generational horror movie. If you haven't seen this already, please do. And lastly, I made a video about this movie before. I was talking about, bad movies with really good concepts. But yeah, I think Cube is definitely due for a reboot slash remake. This concept is too golden not to be capitalized in the modern age with modern effects and just a better script. And I will say the camp does work for this film. It is a 90s movie, but the acting can get really bad at times. But this movie has a lot of untapped potential. Just the concept of being trapped in this cubic maze, not knowing how you got there, it's just so good. Just remake it. Update. I recently just saw there's a Cube movie that came out in 2021, but I heard it's really bad, so I'm still gonna apply this to the video. Reboot it, remake it, and make it better.